Okay, this is our latex agglutination titer. We're trying to find out where this reaction will no longer take place. That will be our endpoint in a serial dilution. Initially, we will use the patient's sample, undiluted. I will now take the patient's sample again, but I will begin to dilute it. This dilution is going to be a twofold serial dilution, and each time we use a pipette tip, we will exchange the pipette tip so that there is no carryover from one to another. So we're performing a serial dilution. The original one is full concentration. Now what I'm doing is I'm adding a buffered saline solution. It will be mixed. That mixing will allow it to get dispersed. Then I will take the amount here, which is 25 microliters, and I will transfer it to the next well. I will remove my pipette tip so as to not have any carryover from one dilution to the next. I will add a new pipette tip, and I will carry out the serial dilution by adding 25 microliters of phosphate buffer saline to the next two. That will be mixed. Then I will dilute this out. Again, this is a twofold serial dilution, so I will continue this process of diluting it out. There are variations on how this can be done. We could put all the buffered saline into the wells to begin with. I'll show you how that would work. I can add buffered saline to the rest of these wells if I prefer. All of a sudden I'm having pipette tip problems. I will add buffered saline to the rest of these wells. I try a different tip. Sorry, that's science. Sometimes things don't work. I have a different tip. I'm adding buffered saline to all of the tubes to create my titer. And now I've already diluted out the first 4, so I'm going to mix this one, add it to the next well below, mix that, add it to the next well below, and this gives you an idea how we can serial dilute. It's a half of a half of a half of a half, so to speak. And so we're doing a twofold serial dilution, 1 part specimen, 1 part saline or buffered saline, or whatever else the diluent might be. And now we have all our dilutions. Now what we have to do is add our latex to those. So we're going to add our latex, and we're going to drop from above so we don't contaminate. Drop from above so we don't contaminate. So what do we have here? We're going to mix these in a moment. What we have here is undiluted in number 1. Number 2 is a 1 to 2 dilution. Number 3 is a 1 in 4. 1 in 8, 16, 32, 64, 128. This is our serial dilution that we've created. And now what we're going to do is we're going to mix these. And after we mix them, we're going to see the reaction. Now, we can cheat a little bit. We can go from the most dilute to the most concentrated, instead of using a different mixing or stirring straw each time, we can just go from the most dilute specimen to the least dilute, and that way there's no carryover from one point to the next. Okay, now we have everything mixed up. Just as before, these need to be rocked or mixed, and so I'm going to rock them or mix them for a moment, and then I'll show you the results.